Who were the Dare to Die Corps? China during the Second World War was in a pretty dire state. They were numerically superior to the Japanese, but in basically every other aspect they were severely outmatched. In fact, by 1941, the Chinese could literally make no attacks because their army was starved and barely equipped. Against them, they faced a Japanese army that was rolling across China and was far better equipped than them. And in instances like this, numerical superiority doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter how many men with old rifles you have when there's a tank column coming at you. And so one of the most famous types of soldier of the war was born, the Dare to Die Corps. Despite its name, it wasn't an actual corps, but it was more of a designation. These men were given better food, better rations, and more money for their family for volunteering. They would often equip bomb vests, strap grenades to themselves, or even just pull pins and run at the enemy. And it was terrifyingly effective. In one account, one Dare to Die soldier was able to take out 20 Japanese. And in some battles, Japanese armour was effectively crippled by these men. Someone would run under a tank and blow themselves up, which disabled the entire mechanised forces of the Japanese. They had their roots in the Shanghai Revolution, which was against the Qing dynasty. In this, student activists and revolutionaries used much the same tactics. Of course, this methodology of warfare may seem silly. Why would an individual just volunteer to die? Well, it must be remembered that the Japanese at this point were rolling across China and they were, well, doing things that you can't say on TikTok. An entire nation was being ravaged, and on top of that, when the Chinese engaged with the Japanese under normal circumstance, in many instances, their survival rates were not much better than just strapping bombs to yourself anyway, and the latter was much more effective. And as the war went on and China became more and more equipped, and we see the introduction of these elite units, such as the PLA guerrillas who had been fighting for 20 plus years at this point, who it would not be unfair to say were the most trained soldiers on the planet, groups like the Dare to Die Corps began to slowly lose their relevance. But for a short period in the Sino-Japanese War, they were a potent image of defiance.